The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of Green Acres and our guests. These general gardening tips and suggestions may work for you, as well as those from alternative sources. When using any garden products or tools, read and follow all label directions.
The Green Acres Garden Podcast is the podcast dedicated to helping gardeners hone their growing skills while we celebrate our love of plants. So whether you're new to growing or a seasoned gardener, you're sure to learn something new. Join the fun as we have conversations with world-class growers, passionate green thumbs, and professional garden experts from Green Acres Nursery and Supply. Listen every week. We'll answer questions you didn't know you had. And away we grow. Hello there, and welcome all you beautiful gardeners and growers out there. Welcome to the Green Acres Garden Podcast. I'm your host, Kevin Jordan, back for another fun episode. We are going to get into it this week. If you're looking for some perspective, a little bit of support, and a little bit of direction on how to be successful in your own home veggie garden this season, today's episode's just for you. We're going to make things that maybe seem difficult or complex, and we're going to break it down. Actually, gardening and growing and being successful out in the garden is actually, it's as simple as 1, 2, 3. It's really easy to be successful in the garden. I think sometimes we talk and it's easy to kind of get bogged down and feel like it's so complicated, but really it comes down to a few factors: good soil, good sunlight, the right plant in the right place, and the proper watering, and then everything else kind of seems to fall into place. If you can deal with those things appropriately, I'm telling you, you're on your way to success. So today's episode, we are going to delve into that. Before we get started, let me introduce you to Austin Blank on audio. What's up, Austin?
Hey, Kevin, and welcome back to all of our listeners. It's the best time of the week. It's gardening podcast time. Now, I really like what you've laid out there, Kevin. It sounds like we're going to really learn how to grow some things today.
Absolutely. I think a lot of people are gardening and growing. Some already have them. Their gardens are kind of off and running. Maybe other people are on the edge and they're kind of want to get one started. But either way, we want them to be successful. And so today, we can reflect a little bit too. We're just out at the school garden. So
yeah, what a great time that was. Thank you for having me again.
Blast.
It was wonderful. And if you haven't seen it yet, check it out on YouTube. I'll put it in the episode description of this episode and give it a view, because you may have heard about Kevin's wonderful garden at the school, but you got to see it. And it was so beautiful out there. It was amazing.
In my own humble opinion, I think it's the world's best school garden, although that's to be debated. There's some beautiful school gardens out there. For me, that garden, it first started off, it was just a field of lawn and weeds, like a turf grass that we would water daily and then have to mow all the time, and we really wasn't being used for anything. Right. It was a big waste. So we decided one year, I was like, let's rip that out and let's put in some fruit trees, some vegetable beds, and now that's transformed over the last 15, 16, 17 years or so. And now we have this beautiful, lush, organic garden. When we first started, the soil was impenetrable. Yeah. It was like Iron Man's armor or something. You could not dig through it with a pickaxe. And after years of working it, adding compost, both the vermicompost, mushroom compost, homemade compost, worm castings, all of it, chicken manure, we've added so many different amendments over the year. And now that soil, which was once hard as a rock, is now soft and lush and fluffy and as black as night. It is so rich, and everything that we're growing, where we used to really struggle, we're finding more and more success.
Wow. Okay. So if I've heard you talk about your soil at your school garden, but I just got to see it. And I actually captured in the video, if people want to watch this, you stick your hand in it and you describe how it used to be so hard, but now it's loose and it's got air in it. And you're able to put your hand all the way deep inside of it. So
I can get up to my elbow.
That is so cool. And you can see this in the video. So please go check that out. But let's go ahead and dive into, you mentioned you've got 3 key factors to success in the garden today. Let's go ahead and jump into your first one. Soil. Kevin, tell us what we need to know about the ground under our feet. What do we do?
It truly, I feel like success and struggles both, it all begins at our feet. Success starts at the ground up in the garden. It's so true. Like, as I mentioned, when we first started, we really wanted to have this beautiful garden and we wanted to grow. And we noticed our plants really weren't doing that well. Carrots weren't doing their thing, and we were getting some growth and a little bit of a harvest, but it was really pretty weak. And so I've noticed we got to do something with the soil. So I'm telling you, if you struggled, you know what I'm talking about. If you've had success in your garden, you know what I'm talking about. So let's get down to it. Dirt versus soil.
Dirt versus soil.
Dirt-
Okay, it's not the same thing.
No, dirt is that stuff underneath your nails. Soil is alive. Soil is what we grow plants in. At least that's how I feel. Dirt is kind of lifeless. Soil needs to be alive. And so if you want rich, soil, you always see, this plant needs rich, well-drained soil. What does that look like? Mm-hmm. That looks like rich soil should have a lot of organic material in it. It'll have, you can even amend it with different types of amendments. Like I said, we've used earthworm castings. We've used bat guano. We've used chicken manure and just traditional compost as well. And these are all the things that are going to help feed the soil. The soil is like a big furnace. So we've had some guests on in the past, soil experts, people that are really passionate about that dirt, about that soil. And they're like, it's like a fire, and it is a furnace that needs to continually burn. And that first season, if you have really great soil, I've seen people that have noticed this, where they'll put a lot of effort into their gardens, whether it's raised beds or in ground. And that first season, they do really well. And that second season, everything seems a little different. But you have to continually feed that soil. So we add compost. We do top layering, just like Dave Fierro, our guest in last episode. He's a home gardener, very successful. And he's not breaking his back out in that garden. He's not overworking the soil or having to double dig. He's literally just doing top layer after layer after layer of compost on top. And after a few years of that, it all starts to work its way. Clay particles tend to help get broken apart by the worm castings, by all that organic matter helps loosen that. And after a time, what you're going to transform into is just this loose, rich, black soil that is full of organic matter, has a lot of nutritional value, but also can breathe. It's loose. Roots can penetrate through. That's super important. So as I mentioned earlier, when our clay soils, I'm sure a lot of our listeners go, I got really hard clay soil. Clay soils have a lot of nutritional value in them. They hold a lot of nutrients, but they don't hold a lot of air, and they don't let water and air flow and the roots move through them. It's not loose enough. So that compost is going to help break that up. Over time, you can work it, and the more and more you do it, the easier it gets, and it's kind of like a snowball going down a hill. At first, it seems kind of small, but season after season of adding layer after layer of organic amendments, I'm telling you, you will really see a transformation in your soil and your garden and your plants.
Can you see it? Actually see? Like, could you look at some soil and see the difference, do you think? Or do you need to get in there and touch it a little bit?
So I've seen some gardeners, they'll taste their soil.
They'll taste
it?
Whoa.
To see if it's sweet or if it's sour. That kind of gives them
I don't have a palate for soil yet.
No, but it's one thing that we did at our school, and actually I've been meaning to talk about this on the podcast.
Okay.
This is perfect timing. So we did the jar test.
Jar test.
So now, if you're like some of our guests in the past who we've had on who are like...
this is the hunt for the sandy loam, right?
Right, where people, when they really... Like, remember the pumpkin guy we had on? Jeff out in Lodi. He would get his soil tested, right?
Yep,
He'd go send it off and get it tested. And that's if you're really serious and you really want to know what's going on with your soil, you can do that. Get a professional, send it off. But if you just want to kind of get like a little understanding of what's going on, a jar test is so cool. So get an old pickle jar. It can be plastic or glass. Clean it all out, and then just take a nice handful of your garden soil, put it in there, fill it to the top with water, and then shake it up really, really good, and then just set it somewhere and leave it for a couple days. Come back in a day or two or three, and you're all of it's going to be stratified.
It's going to separate.
So
right?
So we know there's sand, silt, and clay.
Okay.
Those are the three rock particles that make up soil.
So your bottom would be clay.
No.
Oh.
So the biggest, heaviest ones are sand.
Oh, sand.
Right?
Okay.
So the sand is all going to go to the bottom. Then above that, you'll see a layer of silt. And then above that, you'll see a layer of clay.
Oh,
and that'll show you about kind of how much that relationship is. How much sand do you have? How much silt do you have? Or do you have a lot of clay? And then guess what's on the very top? The organic matter.
Oh,
and so those are the main components of your soil. And so when it comes, I'm a huge fan of earthworm castings, obviously. We do the vermicompost at the school. Yeah. It's a great way to make use of your kitchen scraps. And what you come out with at the other end is the richest amendment you could ever hope to get. If you have overly clay compacted soils, vermicompost, the worm castings will break that up and really improve it. If you have overly sandy soils that do drain and breathe really fast, but don't hold any nutrition and don't hold a lot of water, the same thing. You add the worm castings, and it will improve the sandy soil. So whether you have overly sandy soil or overly compact clay soils, organic compost, especially the worm castings, really make a huge improvement for that.
Wow,
so that
cool.
Jar test is just a fun way to kind of visualize. You'll look at your garden, And it's not perfect by any means, but it really gives you just a visual of, gosh, how much sand, silt, and clay do I have? How much organic matter is in my soil? And that's just kind of a fun indicator of, okay, where do I go next?
Right. As we're all on the hunt for that sandy loam.
Yes, you want a well-balanced soil.
And I've seen the jar test, and you can compare different ratios to like a chart, and it'll tell you where you fall on that chart of soil. So, wow, that is so cool. And I had a question for you, Kevin, because you're talking about this transformation that your school garden has gone over, and I've spent some time there now, and I'm just wondering if you saw that transformation happen before your very eyes, what did that look like? How long did it take? You've been there for so long. Do you remember back to like year 2, year 3 of trying to change things? So what was that like?
So as we progressed through our garden, we first started with raised beds, and then eventually I was like, you know what, let's evolve into the in-ground, and then that's where we really required, hey, we need a lot more compost.
Okay.
And so that's when we really went full steam ahead on the vermicompost and getting our hands on some rich mushroom compost. And just season after season, about twice a year, we would do it in the fall and do it at the end in early spring. We would add a nice thick top dressing of compost. And I'm telling you, year 1, we saw a little bit of improvement. We're like, okay, we're starting to get there. And the thing is, we were starting to incorporate it into our garden soil, the native soil as well. And then just now, year after year, we don't have to even do that. We get to do less and less work. So less cultivating, less tilling. Now we're just broad forking it. We're adding, 2 or 3 inches on every season, twice a year. And now we're at the point where we're at critical mass. We're having very consistent harvests. We grow a lot. So we have a garden. Basically, the beds are filled almost throughout the entire. Just today, I harvested all the onions. Actually, you can smell it here. So I brought in some onions for Austin to show off, and for our producer Greg. And the studio just smells very strong of onions.
Thanks for that, Kevin.
Yeah, you're welcome. But I harvested those today. Broad forked it, added a little compost, and then it's already replanted, and threw in some butternut squash seeds.
Yeah, you've got a high production farm.
So we go
basically
quick. Some people will just do their summer garden and they'll let it rest, and that's fine too. But we're always, whether it's a cover crop or cool season crops, we're always growing something. And so I think for us, with that imperative, we're always out there, always adding amendments and just kind of checking on things.
Nice.
And so year after year, I'm telling you, that first year you will notice a huge boost. And then as long as you stay consistent, your gains will continue. You'll either...
that's cool.
Yeah, and so I'm telling you...
But it happens quick.
You'll see immediate results with good soil, for sure. That's one of those things where if you improve your soil, you will see results right away. You just got to keep up with it.
Okay, very cool. Now, Kevin, I know you have another secret to great success in the garden. What is your strategy number 2?
So my next key to success isn't just going to be something that will help you out in the vegetable garden, but it'll be good pretty much anywhere out in the landscape. I'm talking about mulch. We love compost, and a lot of the things that compost can help do, mulch kind of does that as well, but in a different way. So whether it's shredded bark, large chunks, small chunks, whatever, find one that works for you. But mulch does amazing things, and here's just a few of them. So like I mentioned, as it breaks down at the surface, it'll create a layer of biological activity. So as it's resting on the soil, it's going to get moist, and it's going to start to break down the fungus that you brought up. It's going to start working away at that. All the microbes, they're going to start working away at it. And that creates this layer of life. So it helps add to the fertility of the soil. It's like I mentioned, it's really going to help retain moisture by both absorbing it a bit, but really it acts as like a shield. And we've been so lucky that lately our weather, it's been warm, but it hasn't been incredibly hot, at least not yet.
Yeah, we're getting there.
But it will get there. And so what's nice is if you live somewhere like we do where you have really brutal heat, brutal sunshine, even the things that like heat and sun, like peppers and tomatoes, they have limits as well. And so it's nice is having mulch on top of the surface, whether it's in your vegetable garden or whether it's in your ornamental area of your landscape. This will help protect those roots from the scorching hot sun. It will also then, whatever water, and so here we love to be water wise, use just the right amount of water. We love drip systems and all that. Irrigation is huge for us here because that really helps lead to success just as much as having great soil. Having the right water regimen is going to do that. But mulch is a big supporter of correct watering because we don't want to overwater, we don't want to waste the water, and we don't want to have that water that we do plan to use evaporate right off the surface. So as it shields it away, it's also going to protect that water from evaporating too quickly so that way your plants can actually use it, which means less water usage, less water bill. That's a good thing. And one of my favorite things about mulch is suppressing weeds. God, weeds stink.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it keeps me in business, but whether it's Bermuda grass, nutsedge, the bindweed I've been noticing out in the orchard a little bit, although it's kind of cute, little weed. They're terrible. We don't want them, and in some areas, I guess it's okay, but I don't want them crawling up my trees or hurting my plants. Having thick layers of mulch in your landscape, it may not always be the perfect cure to keeping weeds out, but what does it? It really slows them down. And even with things like Bermuda grass, they may find their way to the surface, but if you have 3 to 4 inches of mulch that they've had to push through, they're now not going to get rooted in every inch along the soil as they move. They're going to be rooted in at one point. You can pull them up a lot easier. You can follow them back to the origin, dig it out even more if necessary. But that's what I love about it. So it doesn't keep weeds out entirely, but it slows them down and makes it so much easier to remove them. And then if you really need it, just smother them out with some black plastic, solarize occultation if needed. But mulch is a great step in your battle against weeds for sure.
Nice. And that is so cool. I do want to shout out the specific thing. I think you mentioned it was the microbark. I really find that mulch to be so attractive. It's very
cute,
small, but
flat.
Just looks good. I think it satisfies the Virgo side of my brain, where I just want it. Just makes things look more intentional and like orderly and just put together and good. And I like it. I don't know, and I guess it probably breaks down faster and helps feed the soil as well.
Looks great on a pot up.
Oh, I put it in my
so
pots.
Nice. Yeah.
I tried to put it in everything. I like it.
And that's a great point. When you do, even in containers, having a nice little layer of mulch, less watering.
Yep.
And so that can be an issue for a lot of people, especially in the summer when you go, I watered that, and you go, ooh, that containers, that pot's losing water pretty quick.
Yeah.
Even things like microbark can be very beneficial. So it looks really nice, but it also helps build up the soil structure. It'll protect your soil from harsh winds, rain. But having a little bit of mulch out there, it has multiple benefits. It also regulates the soil temperature, so keeps your roots from getting fried in the summer and keeps them from getting frosty cool in the winter. So, I mean, the potential benefits to it are near limitless. Mulch for me doesn't just look good, but it's really one of those things that is just one step closer to being successful in the garden, reducing how many weeds I'm going to have to pull, reducing how much water I need to give my garden, and eventually also breaking down into the soil and becoming the soil. And I know some folks I've seen on the online forums are like, oh no, mulch, in your garden, it's going to suck away nitrogen from your plants as it breaks down. But that's really only if you dig up and kind of mix in a lot of that mulch into your soil itself at the root layer. We're finding out that when it's just breaking down slowly at the surface, it's not locking up too much nitrogen for your plants, and they should be just fine and be able to have all the nutrients they need as long as your soil's healthy.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. I'm getting schooled up. Thank you so much for breaking this down. I believe you have a third point you want to bring up and share for success in the garden. What is point number 3?
So one other area that I noticed that separates successful gardeners from maybe some gardeners that are maybe struggling or not as successful as they want to be is just watering. It's just irrigation.
Right.
How do we get water to the plants? Are you watering enough, not enough? And how do you actually do that? What does that look like?
Gosh, one of the biggest problems there is that overwatering and underwatering look the same.
Pretty
right?
similar, yeah.
So that I feel like trips up a lot of people right there.
For sure. If you've been watering, if you go out and your soil's wet and you're watering more and more and more,
no.
That's oftentimes going to be a little too much, right? So it's going to be plant specific for one thing. So a lot of I would get to know your vegetables. For instance, we have tomatoes in the garden. They actually have their roots can get pretty deep, pretty widespread, and they can tap into some water that is pretty deep down, which is great. They tend to like deep, infrequent watering, where you give them a good drink of water. They have plenty of water. They're moist, and then you let them kind of use that for a few days, or maybe even several, and then
let them dry
then you let them dry out just a little bit, not enough to go bone dry, but enough to where they're not. By the time you come back and water again, the soil shouldn't be wet to the touch at the time you start watering it again.
Now, would you say, because the leaves will react if they dry out too much, right? They'll curl. That would be bad, right? You'd want to avoid, just before that starts to happen, you'd want to replenish the water into your roots.
For sure.
For the tomatoes.
So for me, the best way to learn how much water you need to do is just to be out there in your garden, and then practice a little bit. Dig down around those roots and actually really dig down. You can put your finger in, but I would recommend really digging down especially for plants like that where their roots can go deeper to see, okay, because drip systems are tricky for some people. They're so effective. And for me, we use them at the school and I wouldn't have it any other way. We like to hand water sometimes, but those are all things that are already on a drip. And so it's kind of just not for fun, but just to give them supplemental. Drip systems are fantastic, but I think a lot of people don't realize they need to be on a bit longer to really get that deep penetration into the soil to actually saturate the ground so you can actually get water to the plant.
So I noticed in your beds, you've got the inline drip, the brown with all the holes in it every 6 inches?
Every 6 inches, there's like a half a gallon emitter.
You've got it really nice how you've got that
simple.
Set. Yeah, simple, easy to set up. But I'm curious what, for your tomatoes that you have right now, what is it set to?
So right now we're watering them about 2 times a week.
Okay.
We were about 3 a while ago, but now they're actually getting in. They're getting large enough, and I'm trying to restrict them a little bit. You compare that with something like the onions that we just harvested. They have very shallow roots, and they kind of need very consistent watering all the time. They don't want to be soggy, but they don't want to be dry. They don't have roots that can tap into that water that we can't see like a tomato can. So they need different watering practices. So I would say whatever you do, whatever you're excited to grow or whatever's in your garden, just learn what each of those plants needs as far as watering goes, and that will help direct you on how you actually going to do that. So whether it's deep and frequent or constant and moist or shallow and frequent, get to know your plants. But I'm telling you, if you have means to install a drip system, whether with micro sprays or the in-ground tubes, and a timer, that will be your guide to success. Because I notice a lot of people will do everything. They'll do the other things we talked about. They've built up the soil. They've got amazing soil. They've got the mulch. They've got their plants, and they're rocking. They're feeding it organics consistently, lightly all the time, or weekly. We've heard people say is a great way to think of it. So their plants are getting those things, but then they don't have a way to consistently water it. They're like, I'll water by hand, or or whatever, or they installed their drip, but they haven't quite figured it out. And so watering by hand can be a bit of a challenge, I think, as a barrier to success. And then if you do have a drip system, play with it. If you need to add more emitters, add more emitters. If you need micro sprays, add some micro sprays. If you want to experiment with the in-ground, the inline tubes like I do, they're fantastic and they're easy to use. But I would recommend the big deal is how long do you water? And everyone always asks, how do I got a drip system, I'm growing this, how long do I water? It's not amount of time that I can tell you, because if you're listening, your garden is different than mine, different than Austin's, your soil's different, your plants are different, your weather's going to be different. But what isn't different is that those plants do need a similar amount of water. And so dig down, put your water on a timer, go, okay, what does half an hour get me? How much water, how deep did that penetrate? And because the more you experiment with that, the more success I think you're going to be able to attain once you figure out, all right, I'm going to have my water come on 3 times a week for 2 hours each time. And that might work for you. I'm giving out random numbers, but...
Well, what is your actual number? Just for a ballpark.
Right now at the school, I think I'm down to, we're going to go down to about 2 times a week, and it's on a drip system, so I might have it come on for anywhere from about an hour and a half to maybe even 2 hours.
And so would you make that be in the morning?
Yes. I like doing it early in the morning as the sun's coming up, so that way the plants will have the water. That's a great point, Austin. So that way the plants will have the water as they need it through the day, and they can drink it up. I don't typically like to water at night if I can avoid it, because then the plants are just sitting in wet soil all night and not using it. But honestly, if I came home from work and it was, the sun's going down, I noticed a plant that was like struggling and thirsty, I'm going to water it.
Help them out.
Right away. But as far as just day to day, week to week, I like watering in the morning.
Twice a week, you said up to 2 hours.
I'm about 2 to 3 times a week right now.
Okay.
And then towards the end of the summer, I might even go back to just 1 time a week.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
And that's kind of, it's all based around the tomatoes, really, because that's what we're growing most of in our school garden. If you're going to grow things like melons and cucumbers and things like that, they're probably going to need a little bit more water and a little bit more consistency.
Cool.
But like I said, just research whatever plants that you're growing and just realize they all may need different amounts of water, and just know that your drip system is going to get water right to where they need it, but you're the one who needs to make sure that it's on for the right amount of time, and that it's actually going to the root zone. The stems really don't need water. It's where those roots expand out to. That's where the water needs to be. So I think watering, the soil, and then the protective factor of the mulch, you do those things, you're going to be successful. I'm telling you, at least you'll be on the trajectory to success. Because all of the struggles I've ever had, man, my dirt stinks. I forgot to water, and I got weeds everywhere, and the soil's poor. Compost, mulch, watering. You do those things,
you're on a whole nother garden there.
You're on the road to success.
Yeah.
And for the people who are listening, they're like, I do these, I do that. They know what's up. And so if you've ever struggled, you ever wondered, is it worth it? Should I get the compost? Why mulch? Is the irrigation system worth, putting in? Or, how important is my watering regimen? Those things are important. If you want to have a beautiful, bountiful harvest, do those things and you will be successful. Now, those aren't the only things I'd recommend, but those are 3 huge factors that I'm telling you that affect us all.
Cool. All right. Now we are mid-June now, and I'm wondering if anyone's inspired today to, grow some more plants. They want to improve their landscape. They want to start a vegetable garden. Is it too late? This is a thing everyone's always wondering. It's getting hot. We're approaching. It's almost officially summer. Can we still plant, Kevin?
Absolutely. I just planted some winter squash. Now they take about 100 days or so to fully mature, and so that'll be pushing me up till about late September, October. But I'm telling you, you can still plant some things. Just look at the harvest time, that window, days to maturity. Shorter window things like beans are amazing to grow this time of year because they sprout quick, they grow quick. And you can do successive planting. So plant a row, wait a couple weeks, plant another row, wait a few weeks.
Nice.
And then you'll have just wave after wave. You can do the climbing beans. I've seen people do that, grow vertically. I mean, we could do a whole episode on just the power of vertical gardening. And I think we have, but we could do them some more.
Okay.
For people who have limited space, growing things vertically, is amazing approach to success in the home garden. There's climbing beans, even things like that you normally wouldn't think of growing vertically, like summer squash and zucchini. You can train those up little poles and grow them vertically, and that helps with harvest and pests and whatnot. But whether it's beans, sunflowers, getting some more cosmos, some zinnias. So what I do in the school garden too is as some of the crops come out, like I mentioned some beans, we already have some beans growing, and they're going to mature and then be done, and the summer will still be going. And so I'll just pull them out, till that, kind of work that soil a little bit, rake it up,
put some more in,
and then just put in some seed.
Nice.
Throw in some cosmos, throw in some zinnias, some sunflowers. They'll grow and give me some color by the end of the summer. So there's almost always something you can sneak in, but just depends on how long it takes to grow them. But as long as you got warm weather, sunflowers, beans, cosmos, zinnias, even some basil. If you want to throw some basil in later in the summer, you can go for it.
Nice. All right. Well, I'm freshly motivated. Gosh, I want to get back out in my garden so bad now. Thank you for schooling us up, Kevin. It's really good to focus on these things that are so important. It's really nice to give them some time and get caught up on how to be successful. So thank you so much, Kevin. That's all the time we have for this week. Go ahead and take us out.
Well, thank you so much, Austin, for the great episode, another amazing edit. And thank you to all the listeners. We love having you here. I hope your gardens are going well. I hope you're cultivating your dreams and your own well-being, because that's what this is all about. And truly, please touch in with us at the Facebook group, the Green Acres Garden Podcast group, on the Instagram, whatnot. Even hit me up, field tripping, hit us up at the YouTube page.
Yeah.
Go check out Austin's video that he did of our garden. So if you want to see my garden at the school where I transformed a lifeless turf lawn into a beautiful, thriving orchard, 30-plus fruit trees, 40-plus varieties, berries. The blueberries right now are insane,
so
Austin.
Cool. Go check it out. Go
check
watch
it out.
that.
Please check us out. But I just want to wish you all an amazing week. Please get out in that garden, get some dirt underneath those nails, work that soil, grow yourself something amazing to eat and share with the people you love. And please come back next time for another garden adventure, because we got so much more planned. It's going to be an amazing growing season. Happy gardening to you all. And please never stop growing.
Woo, yeah. Gosh, it does smell like onions.
Yeah. Never stop growing onions, dude. I smell the sulfur.